I just realized I don't have a lot of coffee right now, so we'll see how long this lasts. Hi, my name is Mr. Dramby, and I'm here to talk to you about Hinduism in a presentation called Hinduism, India's Religion. Now, first of all, the goal of this is for you to understand the faith of Hinduism to better understand AP World Modern. So this is part of my contextualization piece, if you will. Not a lot of the details from today's slideshow are going to end up on the AP exam. Now, I call it Hinduism, India's Religion. That might sound weird or maybe kind of wrong. This is why. If you want to understand the rich history of India, you have to understand the faith that helped define its culture, its society, its politics. So really, that's the biggest reason why I call it India's religion, because they are so intertwined with each other. Now, let's see if I can click a lead. There we go. Some just simple factoids, all right? First of all, it started about 5,000 years ago. There is no beginning date to Hinduism. It slowly emerged as different people came together. All right, it's one of the oldest faiths on earth. It's also the third largest faith in the world, all right? So you have Christianity and Islam, and then you have Hinduism. There is about 900 million believers in India alone. So for you to not understand Hinduism is for you not to understand almost 1 out of 8 people on earth. Now, the word Hindu comes from a Sanskrit word, I believe, called Sindhu. Sindhu meaning river people. Now, the reason why I always love teaching that is because outsiders saw people along the Indus. Pause. And they saw them along the Indus and they called them Sindhu. And you're all like, well, that's so what? Well, just understand that all the people that lived along the river, the Sindhu, didn't have the same faith. They didn't even have the same gods. So really the word Hindu or Sindhu is a very generalized term that was more emphasized on geography and less emphasized on any sort of monotheistic one God belief. Now, because Sindhu or Hindu is an all-encompassing term, it's actually a hard topic to teach you because so many different Hindus, maybe even based geographically at one time, believe in different things, emphasize different gods. All right. Now, Buddhism had its founding in Hinduism, which is kind of cool, meaning if you want to understand Buddhism, you need to backtrack to understand Hinduism. I also contend to understand the Protestant faith, maybe of Lutheranism. You need to also understand Catholicism. All right. So the hardest part I'm going to have today in today's presentation is that there are over 1,000 major and minor gods. So at the end of the day, this is just kind of my poor attempt at teaching Hinduism. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it makes sense. So, how did it develop? How did this term Hinduism and the Hindu faith emerge? Well, first in South Asia, all right? The Indus River, the Ganges River, below the Himalayan mountains and such, there were a people called Dravidians. Dravidians had pretty much a darker skin. They lived very tribally along the rivers, along the plains, along the coasts. They had different gods, different beliefs. They were an ununited people, the Dravidians. Now, over time, foreigners called the Aryans coming outside the Caucasus Mountains came in and invaded. They didn't invade in one day. They invaded over time. As they came in with their beliefs, their gods, their writings, their texts, like the Vedas and the laws of Manu. So what you see is Dravidian beliefs plus Aryan beliefs equals Hinduism. Now, the weird part about that lighter skin thing, because I don't want this to be like all about skin color, is you have to understand that the Aryans were a lighter skinned people with certain traditions, and as they invaded and, if you will, took over certain lands, they also put themselves in charge. There is a term called Varna, meaning color. And at one time, the caste system, which I know some of you have heard of, was called the Varna system, a system not just based off of religion, but based off of color. Okay? So, with that being said, let's talk about some of the beliefs. First, wheels on the bus go round and round. Anytime you see this visual, a wheel, a circle, I want you to think of reincarnation and samsara. So, samsara literally means rebirth. We, as in maybe the West, have always called it reincarnation, meaning you are born, you live, you die, you're reborn. What is going through the process of reincarnation or samsara is your soul. Your soul is trying to reach perfection, trying to reach a way of escaping reincarnation, meaning samsara is actually a bad thing. You don't want to be born and reborn and reborn. You want to escape all of this rebirth and let your soul escape that pain and suffering. So when you see a circle like this, don't be surprised if it means reincarnation or samsara. You see the lotus flower meaning life. So it's a cycle of life. Let's move on. Now, another aspect of Hinduism you need to understand is polytheism. All right? Polytheism, many gods. Monotheism, one God. Now, there are people who believe that in its inception, Hinduism was a monotheistic faith called Brahmanism, meaning there's one God, Brahma, and from Brahma are the minor gods. However, I think the most traditional way of teaching Hinduism is saying Brahma is one of many other gods, polytheism. Now, it does make sense that Hinduism and India have polytheism because India is so diverse and there are different gods in different villages and in different locales, and they've been added to this pantheon. All right, polytheism. So what we're going to get to today is something called iconography. So often there is no visual representation of the Christian God, the Allah God. We don't like to take that and put it in a visual sense. But in India, especially with its low literacy rate, India has found iconography the easiest way of teaching its people the belief structure that is Hinduism. So, what is the major gods, if you will? The Trinity. We have Brahma, the creator or absolute God. We have Shiva, the destroyer god, and Bishnu, the preserver god. And if you think about it, all of these gods, the Trinity, if you will, not everybody refers to them that way, embrace the idea of samsara. You are born, that's Brahma. You live, that's Bishnu. You die, that's Shiva. Wheels on the bus go round and round. You shouldn't be surprised here. The Lord of the dance, Shiva, shown in a circle. The all-knowing God, Brahma, shown with multiple heads. So let's have a little breakout here. This is Bishnu. First of all, you're noticing Bishnu's blue. Why blue? Why are a lot of the gods have a blue hue to them? Not many here. You need to research that there is a lot of indigo in India. So with all of that indigo, it's easier, if you will, to use blues in your colors. So you see that Bishnu is holding four things: the lotus flower, the disc, the mace, and the conch shell. So what I'm going to ask you to do is take a pause in the video and think to yourself, what could these represent? I'm going to count down from 5, but at the end of the day, I'd like you to maybe just hit pause. Ready? 5. Ready. The lotus flower represents life, literally life, living one life, trying to actually enjoy life, preserve one's soul, improve one's soul. The disc, reincarnation. The wheels on the bus go round and round, samsara. The mace, the punishing power of the gods, of the deities. Learn from them, do what they teach, improve yourself. And the conch shell, the well-known sound of Om. Om. Why would you ever make Om? Well, first of all, if you're meditating and you're thinking of Om, then you're not thinking about what you want. You're actually clearing your mind of maybe stresses and frustrations and desires and wants and cravings. It's a great way of clearing your mind and focusing on what you hear and what you say and what you sound on. Ready? And this is Ganesh, Ganesh, or Ganesha, another Hindu god. Okay, so in this one, we see the lotus flower, the axe, the empty hand, and the plate of Lado, all right? And there's a chance you see a swastika or two. Pause. Bam, ready. Lotus flower, life. There it is. Anytime you see a lotus flower, you're going to think life. The axe. The axe is cutting your attachments to the world. You know, the desire to want to wear a certain brand on your clothes is something you should cut attachments with. The fact that you have a zit is something you should cut attachments with. The fact that you want to date Jimmy or Jeannie is something you want, it's something you crave, and you should cut attachments with it. Meaning you should cut attachments with anything that causes your soul pain and suffering and holds you back from being your true perfect self. I like that one. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Next one. It's the open hand of possibilities. You could put a gun in this hand. You can put a handshake in this hand. You can give a thumbs up in this hand, or we're not going to do the middle finger in this hand. You know, meaning you can put whatever you want in your hand. You control it. So how are you going to handle your life? I like that one. That's really nice. Open the door for somebody, slam the door on somebody. Don't do that. Lastly, Lado. Hindus might eat a dessert called Lado. Lado is meant to be the sweet rewards of existence. Like Hindus literally believe in things such as artha, like working hard as a middle-aged man, or maybe a 20, 25-year-old man, 35-year-old man, and making money, artha, work hard, make money, provide for oneself and family. They think that's an okay trait at one point of your life. You should give it up when you're older. They also believe in something called the Kama Sutra, this idea of a book of love. How should we love each other? Meaning Hindus do not deny themselves of pleasure. They embrace existence, but they also know that at some point they have to escape the pain of existence. That's their goal. Now, there is a swastika. Do understand that Adolf Hitler and the Nazis stole the swastika. They stole the history of the Aryans and they perversed it. So a lot of people look at the swastika as meaning love and unity and totality and universalness. So you're going to see it in a lot of visuals. It is not meant to be associated with the Nazi flag. So do not draw the swastika thinking it's a cool Hindu symbol, because it's inappropriate in our Western contemporary world. But do understand its inception, including the Aryan story, is part of Hinduism. Okay, cool. Now, this is the last God I'm going to share today. I'm going to have you be reading an excerpt of the Bhagavad Gita. It's like one of the longest poems in the world. Bhagavad Gita translates into Song of God. Okay, this is here Krishna, the god of beauty and love. All right, Krishna emerges in the story, the Bhagavad Gita, to teach a warrior whose name is Arjuna that he must obey his duty in life, and his duty in life is to fight. Now, you might want to hit pause and listen to that again. Okay, so Krishna teaches Arjuna to follow his dharma, which is his duty in life, which was as a warrior to fight. This emerges in, I think I used chapter 2, the illuminated man of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay? So at this point, we've gone through a couple Hindu gods. Now I want to talk about how it works. Now, if you are a Hindu or you know Hinduism, this is almost like a demeaning approach to Hinduism. But to an outsider, to I don't know, I want to say just, teenager in America, this kind of makes things a little bit cleaner. So in life, you're going to be living in a caste system, 1,000 years ago. You're born into a caste. You want to go up the caste system through reincarnations to reach Maksha. Maksha or moksha. I say Maksha. So how do you go up or sometimes down the caste system is through your karma and your dharma. The worst situation for yourself is to have a bad karma, have a bad dharma over and over, and escape the caste system, but going down and becoming what they used to call an untouchable, a delete. So, karma. Karma is the belief in the sum total of your thoughts and actions that guide future events. You and I use it in like modern day vernacular. Like if something bad happens to somebody, you'll be like, oh, that's karma. He's a jerk. So something bad happened to him. In this visual, he pushes down these dominoes to the one side. It's going to come back to get him. But in Hinduism, it's more of a spiritualness. If you live a life of kindness and love, you might be reincarnated into a different caste, a different social, religious standing. Karma. You want to have a good karma. Tied to that is your dharma. Now, besides having a good thoughts and actions, you need to obey your role in society. We have multiple roles: son, father, friend, lover. So you need to do your dharma the best you can. And it helps create a very stable society when everybody just follows their dharma. Thus, if you have a good dharma because you've been a good student, a good friend, a good son, a good sibling, and you've been kind and thoughtful in your mind and your actions, good karma, you might be reincarnated as something, if you will, better, with the goal of reaching Maksha. Now, Maksha means perfection. You are not going to be reincarnated anymore. You've escaped the pain and suffering of existence. You get to rejoin something called the Atman, the universal soul we are all part of. And instead of having to come back into flesh, you get to escape all of this and live your soul gets to live on, but a less sad existence on earth. Maksha. Good karma, good dharma go up. Bad karma, bad dharma go down. Meaning, what is the karma? What is all this caste system stuff? Well, here's one visual. The Brahmin, the Kshatriya, the Vaishya, the Sudra, and the Untouchables. You are born as a peasant and you live a great life and you are the best peasant possible. You might be reincarnated as possibly a merchant, somebody who owns land, a Vaishya. You live a great life, you live a pure life, you follow your dharma. You might come back as a warrior, somebody who fights for the landowners and fights for the peasants, a kshatriya. Now, the pinnacle of this is the Brahmin, I apologize. Now, the funny part is the Brahmin may not be rich. You could be a very poor Brahmin, but as a Brahmin, you are part of the priestly class. You are the closest to Maksha. All of this can go back and work down in the more unpure jobs of the untouchables, obviously. So this is just a different way I look at it. Now, I had a college professor who was from India, and she was, when she was in India, her family, I think she worded it that they were Brahmin. But she was a college professor. It's not like she was a priest. So understand that I'm beginning to see over time as capitalism emerges and impacts the social statuses that the caste system is taking a further backward role. I mean, the British, when they led India, tried to make the caste system literally illegal. So at one time, you couldn't even, if you were a Dalit, look another caste in the eye. You had to cross the road and walk on the other side of the road. You couldn't walk by somebody from an upper caste. Those social ills, religious and cultural impurities are leaving society as capitalism comes in. But I hear there are vestiges, especially at the village level, is what I've heard. Social system based off of birth in America is like the worst thing we could think of. In America, we love the idea that we're all born. If you're born poor, you can work hard and work smart and move up and be the president of the United States. But imagine a world where you were born into a caste and you live in that class, you live in that duty, that dharma for the rest of your life. And the only way to escape it is through death, a positive karma and dharma. So that's just a little bit more about how the caste system works. Some of the effects of the caste system, well, first of all, it was based off of skin color, and it really made things hard to make it in life. Some people are going to live a very, very bad life. There is utter amounts of racism, if you will, even in India today because of the vestiges of the caste system. Some of the benefits, though, are all the jobs are being completed. You know, you are doing the same job as maybe your father because that's the caste or the jati you've been set into. Now, listen, I'm coming to a close. Just some Hindu practices. Instead of using the term prayer, we might use the word puja. That is where you might set something like this up in your home or maybe a temple where you'll have Hindu gods. You might sense offering. You might have incense burning. You might om. I'm trying to be very stereotypical. I apologize for all this. But notice this guy has electricity in the backside. So like he's trying to create puja practice in his own more modern day home. Obviously, there's meditation. And what I've heard is that meditation is more about clearing the mind than maybe asking for things. It's not necessarily prayer, okay? But I'm sure there's others that interpret it differently. There's yoga. Yoga stems from Hinduism as well. The idea of putting your mind over your body. I mean, I've seen Brahmin, just on YouTube, of course, Brahmin who are able to do massive splits, but they're 75 years old. They're able to give their day without any food because they can control their mind over their body. All right. I think this is my last slide. Lastly, if you had to identify a holy place in India or in Hinduism, you would say like the city of Varanasi, and you would say maybe the Ganges River. In fact, there's a Hindu god called Ganga, Ma Ganga, Mother Ganges, or Ganga Ma. The idea is this is where you might bring a dead family member, put them into the water. You might have a cremated family member and splash their ashes. You might take some of the Ganges River water back to your home to anoint people, to bathe in. So that's my last slide. I don't even know how many minutes I've been at this. I did a lot today, and I hope you found it interesting. The one extension we're going to do in my AP world is we're going to look at the Bhagavad Gita a little bit. So, historically, India has been dominated by Hinduism, including politically. But Buddhism came out of it and protested it. So you now see a little bit more of conflict and diversity. And now, of course, it's around 1900 with the British largely in charge of India. You're going to see the conflict with now democracy and capitalism and socialism trying to dictate what India is. So absolutely, India is not a Hindu nation just by definition today. It's a lot more complex and diverse than that. Have a great one. Bye now.